Today I'm going to share a story from my childhood. I was very young at the time, just 6 years old. I don't remember every detail, but over time, my parents helped me recall some parts that were in my mind, though some moments are still fresh in my memory. So the story is this: I'm an only child. I never liked being alone during childhood. I always used to think how nice it would be if I had siblings. But my parents gave me a lot of love. One advantage of being the only child was that my parents paid a lot of attention to me. They always made sure I had a good life, and I did. And even today, when I look back at it, I feel truly thankful. Every year around Halloween, my parents would transform our basement into a haunted house. It wasn't anything too fancy, just old decorations, fake cobwebs, some flickering lights, and tons of excitement. It was all for a good cause. To enter, people had to donate canned food, and whatever was collected, my parents would give to the local food bank. They even printed flyers and handed them out at my school and a few other nearby elementary schools. Most of the visitors were families of kids from my school, but sometimes strangers showed up, people we didn't know. My parents didn't mind at all. In fact, they were happy because the more people came, the more donations we got, and the more successful the haunted house was. We lived in a large old brick house in the town of Hutton, Pennsylvania. Most of the homes in our neighborhood were built entirely of brick due to historical preservation rules, which also meant they were very old. Since renovations weren't exactly encouraged, our home already had a naturally eerie atmosphere, especially at night, with creaky floors and dimly lit hallways. Every year, my cousins, Liam, Noah, Blake, and Dylan, would come over to help. They'd dress in creepy costumes and hide in the basement to scare my friends, which they loved doing. That year, they went all in and wore identical anonymous masks, the white ones with the blank, expressionless faces. That year's haunted house was a big hit. By evening, a decent crowd had gathered. But my parents later told me about something strange that happened earlier, before the real rush began. A strange man had come in. He wasn't with any kids, which was unusual, since most visitors were families. He said his wife and daughter would come later, but he wanted to donate some food ahead of time. My parents didn't recognize him, but thanked him for the donation. He acted a little odd, then left. As the night went on and more people arrived, the basement was buzzing with activity. I was running around with my screaming friends, lost in the fun and the decorations. Then at one point, one of my friends came to me crying. She said someone wearing an anonymous mask had scared her. I reassured her, saying it was probably one of my cousins. But then she said something that sent chills down my spine. She said the masked person had grabbed her wrist and tried to pull her toward a closet. I didn't know what to think. At first I thought maybe she was just overreacting, but the fear on her face was real. I immediately ran to my parents and told them. They took it seriously and went downstairs to check. When they asked, my cousins, Liam, Noah, and Blake were all in their places and swore they hadn't done anything like that. But that's when we realized Dylan was missing. Everyone panicked. Then Dylan came walking down the stairs. He said he had gone upstairs to use the bathroom, and when he came back, his mask was missing. He assumed someone had taken it as a joke, but my parents were instantly alarmed and shut the haunted house down. Everyone was sent home, and the police were called. They searched the entire house, but found nothing. That night I was very scared, but I managed to fall asleep. The basement door was right in front of my room and led downstairs. Then, in the middle of the night, I heard a faint knocking sound. I woke up suddenly, frightened, feeling as if someone was knocking repeatedly on my room's door. I was so scared I couldn't move and just pulled the blanket over myself tightly, hoping I would fall asleep again. After a while, the sound disappeared, and somehow, still terrified, I fell back asleep. But then, some time later, I heard another sound that woke me up. This time it was a strange scraping noise, like someone was scratching or clawing at my door. I was terrified, but I gathered some courage and went to the door. When I finally opened it, what I saw almost made me faint. The basement door across from me was open, and a man was standing there, wearing the same anonymous mask that my cousin had lost. I screamed loudly. My parents came running. I pointed toward the basement door, but by then, there was no one. The basement door was closed. My parents called the police again. They searched the entire basement and the whole house, but found nothing, no footprints, no evidence, nothing at all. A few months passed, things slowly started returning to normal, and my parents slightly reduced the security. But then one day when I came back from school, I found that same anonymous mask lying on my bed. It looked exactly like the one my cousin wore that night. But what was more terrifying was that my name was written on it, with a black marker right on the forehead. I was shocked. How did that person know my name? We called the police again, but even they had nothing to act on except to file another report. My parents installed more security cameras, reinforced every door and window, and permanently locked the basement door. They even added an alarm system. For the next few months, everything was fine. Nothing unusual happened, but the fear had settled deep inside me. I kept feeling as though someone was outside my door, constantly knocking or scratching. I became so scared that sleeping in my own room became difficult. The strange noises continued to haunt me. Eventually, we left that house and never went back. Now I've grown up, but I still wonder what really happened that night. Who was that person? Was he ever caught? Is everything really over? Has the story truly ended?